and this is something that happens all the time with all different kinds of philosophies, tools, frameworks, is that the creator of them comes with a certain intention of why they created that thing and how it could be used. And then people often muck it up. So now, having said that, what are some of the most common mistakes or bad interpretations of this that you have seen over time? And what would be your counter to those, if any?
Yeah, I think the most common mistake with the elements of value is that people talk about the elements of value as being the values of people. And and this may be a problem with the term value, but look, people do have values. But the value we're measuring here, the value we're talking about, is the value that's delivered through a product or service or combination of the two. It's not so much, it is about what people value in that experience, but it's not their values. Their values, that's a different thing. And so that's something that I listen for to make sure people understand what we're talking about. And that's why I've been talking about the experience of value more and more over time. I never use the term values. I talk about the elements of value and the experience of value. So that's number one. The other, I think, is a tendency for everyone to look at the elements of value and say, okay, what are we missing here for our business? And sometimes things are missing. We added 3 ESG elements of value over the last 7 years because it's really emerged in the marketplace, and people are beginning to look at the ESG reputation of companies and evaluate. So those are kind of new. They were, maybe we missed something in the first go around. I'm not saying everything's perfect, but I think that you want to avoid changing the elements of value to make them too specific to your product or service. And the reason we do that is you want to have some sense of how the value you're delivering compares to other categories. Because, next year I can buy a car, or I can buy a phone, or I can buy an expensive camera. And so, the phone category is actually, and this is especially true in the developing world. In India, people do have to make a choice of, do I buy a 2-wheeler next year, or do I buy a phone? Or can I afford both? There are a lot more people there who have to make that trade-off. And so understanding how your category compares to others is an important angle of the elements of value. And we developed it at an altitude where you need to be careful not to make the elements of value too specific to your own business, because categories compete with each other. And I guess the final thing I'll say is it pays to have some consistency in measurement over time, because and so many surveys are changed year after year. You don't really know what's moving and what's not. So that's been one nice thing about the elements of value. We can see that Vanguard, which is a investment firm, they've actually improved their elements of value over time. We helped them add advice to their business back in 2015. We did work that led up to that, and it shows in their numbers. they had way too many customers who were coming in through 401ks, et cetera, who had not bought into the Vanguard philosophy, and they really needed advice. Some consistency of measurement over time is a good thing.